If you're thinking about moving to Celina, Texas, pause before you pack. This tiny little town might look cool on the surface, but on the inside, there's some secrets. We're here to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, all about Celina, Texas.
But before we get started, I'm Holly Haven.
And I'm Andy Haven.
And we are your North Texas real estate team. Today, we're talking about the pros and cons of living in Celina, Texas. And guys, please don't show up here and call it Celina. We will immediately know you're not from here. It is Celina.
Today, we're gonna give you the real, honest pros and cons about Celina, Texas, because let's be honest, no town is picture perfect. Stick around to the end so that you can hear some of our really outrageous cons we have about Celina.
Let's start with spacious land options and diverse housing options.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool options coming to Celina right now. Not necessarily the custom home experience that you would probably think of when you think of an acre plus, but we do have some developers out here that are looking at developing single acres with a specific builder, which is really cool. And there's also still some options to buy bigger chunks of land, obviously more expensive. Bigger comes with a bigger price tag. But there's also still options to build with a custom home builder on some land in Celina.
Absolutely. And to give a little context around that, our land prices have gotten pretty expensive. Guys, if you're buying a large plot, 10 acres plus, you're gonna see at least $100,000 an acre minimum. And it's probably gonna put you on the outskirts. You may not be inside Celina, you actually might be outside Celina. And if you're looking at 1 acre tracts, I know of a couple of neighborhoods that are developing right now, and 1 acre lot is about $315 to $385.
Yeah.
And then you can bring your own builder, do your custom build. So you can kind of manage that finish out and still get under $1 million, depending on your square footage. The other challenge with these 1 acre lots and larger is they're not usually listed on the MLS this way.
Yeah.
So this is normally either we are going directly to a builder that is kind of developing their own small community, or we are finding an older lot in an older neighborhood that maybe wasn't developed. Maybe somebody owned 2 or 3 lots together and now they've decided to sell some off. So a lot of these are gonna be off market. Maybe they're even gonna be, needle in a haystack, but these options do exist. They are still here. And then speaking of some of our diverse housing options, we are just now really starting to see more diverse housing options in Celina.
Yeah, it's kind of giving you that city living while still being out kind of in the middle of nowhere. Obviously, Celina is a town, but you're not next to a mall. You're not next to high rises. Like that's just right. We have like a 3-story building requirement where you can't build over that. I'm pretty sure it might be 4 if it's an apartment building, but you're not moving to downtown Dallas. So that's something you need to be aware of. You are moving to more of a rural area, but you are going to get that luxury feel. And that's where kind of some of these builders come in.
Yeah, so I agree. That's actually really a pro, right? I would say our con in all of this is going to be some of the land prices, the housing prices. We get up into that $1 million pretty quickly when you start looking at a 1 acre lot in most cases. But there are older homes that maybe need a little love, a little rehab, that these are still really great options in Celina. The other pro to what is happening in Celina is that we are seeing so much expansion and growth that we are in a really good equity position for most homeowners. If you're buying today, you're getting the lowest price you're ever going to get moving forward. Maybe not the price you would have gotten 2 or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, but you're still in a really good equity position.
Yeah, and there's still options to get in early in neighborhoods. And that's something that if you are wanting to make a property an investment property and grow that equity over the next 5 to 10 years, getting in really, really early with a builder at their opening price is going to be the fastest way to grow equity in a property. The other fastest way is going to be land, but that's also a much more expensive investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Point number 2. Top-notch schools and community vibes. Celina ISD has an A rating, and they currently have 6 schools, including 1 high school. They are currently building a middle school and another elementary school, which I believe will bring that to 5 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school in the city of Celina.
Yes, that growth is going to be something that all residents will be living through.
Yeah.
New schools, new zoning, depending on the age of your children, you're going to see high schools 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 potentially.
Well, and another thing that we've touched on in past videos that I always like to mention, whenever you are zoned to an elementary school, middle school, high school, you will always be zoned to that ISD. But what will happen is you will be rezoned elementary schools very often because there's going to be a lot more elementary schools than there are middle and high. And then again, in middle, you could get rezoned. High school, it's a little bit less likely because there are less high schools per ISD. But once they add a third one, obviously the first two have to rezone somehow. But the easiest way to get around this is obviously living as close as possible to these schools. If you absolutely need to be at Odell Elementary and Celina ISD, you want to live as close as possible to that elementary school. Well, and I think kind of going off of that, just the traditions that we have in Texas, it's pretty interesting because Friday Night Lights, if you've ever seen the TV show Friday Night Lights, that is basically the depiction that you should be expecting when you come to Celina. And on that note, something that a lot of people from out of state, especially California, even though they have football, they are always very shocked about homecoming here in the state of Texas. It is a huge tradition for high school football.
We love this. We do not want you to change it. So vibe with our traditions, get on board. And if you have questions about that when homecoming comes around, reach out to us. We're happy to help educate you. Point number 3 is going to be proximity to big amenities.
Yeah, this is something that when people talk about Celina, I think they're like, oh my God, you're moving me to the middle of nowhere. I'm never going to be able to go to the mall. I'm never going to be able to go to Anthropologie ever again. But I'm here to tell you, Celina is growing. We are really, really close to large box stores and malls. Frisco is about 15-20 minutes away. You can get to Stonebriar in about 2025. That is our closest mall. And it's developing. There's an Anthropologie, there's a Zara. So all the things you think you might be missing out on, you don't have to miss out on anymore.
Short drive or a click of a button on Amazon and you can have most of what you're looking for. Variety. So one of the things that we really love about Celina is if I want to go to Outback Steakhouse or Texas Roadhouse, I can drive 10 minutes down the road to Prosper and I can get all of those big box restaurants. But if I want that amazing, locally owned, home cooked meal or, just something really unique and different, all I have to go do is straight down to the Celina downtown. And we have so many cool little restaurants and boutiques and shopping. So I feel like we have more variety because of the way Celina has been developed. And they want to keep that small town feel, small town charm. So our variety is actually better than some of the bigger cities because we do have the capacity to really hang on to those mom and pop shops.
But again, if you're moving from out of state, we are not the fast food centrally located town, but you can get to that really easily in Prosper, Plano, Dallas. I mean, the further north,
Frisco,
south, my directions are so messed up. The further south you go, the more opportunities you do have for some of those big box stores and stuff like that.
And then when we talk about entertainment, you know what? Celina's not the entertainment mecca of the world, but there are some really cool things coming. There's, we do have like the small winery that does live music on the weekends. And we have some of those cool little options that are just different. So we have some more cool entertainment things coming to the surrounding areas, just like the shopping. If you drive 15 minutes down the road to Frisco, you're going to have everything you need with the PGA and Universal Studios coming and lots of really cool things happening down there.
You can go less than 30 minutes away and find something cool to do. We have movie theaters, we have bowling. Like, I've never been bored. I'm 24 years old. So I think that is a sign that it's not that bad.
Plenty to do. And work opportunities. We are a nice, close commute. It's a really easy drive to jump on the tollway and get to Plano, get to Frisco for those corporate job opportunities. And of course, now we have so many people working from home.
Oh, and hybrid. There's so many options.
So I think your work opportunities are going to be not a problem, no matter, really what trade or industry that you're in. And then long-term growth. I mean, not only is Celina growing like crazy, it's going to be the size of Frisco. So guys, if you have any context of what Frisco was like 20 years ago, probably 20 years ago,
2005,
then we're really, we're kind of getting it on the ground floor. If you bought a home in Frisco 20 years ago, you know the difference of what it's worth today. So we are really, we know that that's what's to come for Celina, and we are just really wanting to educate our clients and people in our community. This is the time because of all of the growth and expansion.
Well, and people always ask us, they're like, well, where should we invest? I want something that's cheap. Cheap is really not an option anymore, and it really doesn't matter where you are. A lot of the towns that are cheap are not growing at the pace that Celina is. So you're not going to get that equity growth fast.
And a lot of people do look at it and they go, gosh, I have everything in Frisco. I don't need to move. I don't, I have all the entertainment and the shopping and the food and all those things. But if you bought in Frisco the last 2 or 3 years, you're going to have a slower opportunity equity growth. It just is what it is. And so moving up to Celina gives you, that kind of shorter window to more equity growth.
Number 4, entertainment and gambling benefits. This is something that a lot of people, I don't think, realize when they move to Celina.
We don't have gambling in Texas, by the way. It's not legal.
It's coming to Texas, actually. It's pretty crazy. But we have something even better. You're just 45 minutes from the Oklahoma border, where we have Windstar and Choctaw in 2 separate directions. Yep. But you have 2 of truly the world's best casinos right at your fingertips.
It takes me less time to get to Oklahoma than it does to downtown Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, we are so close to Oklahoma, people really don't ever understand. But you can take 75 straight up to Oklahoma, and it's a very easy drive. You can also take 35, and that's where the 2 biggest casinos are. So it works out perfectly.
Absolutely. So if you're just looking for a fun weekend or a night out or maybe a birthday experience, right, you have those options, and you can hopefully go win some money, but be prepared to lose some. Point number 5, new construction and planned development. So the nice thing about this is if you have a picture in mind, you know exactly what you want the inside of that house to look like, especially build from the ground up.
Yeah, and that doesn't just mean custom. A lot of builders are offering more kind of semi-custom options that allow you to get what you want within your budget.
You're also getting more modern amenities as well as like a more energy efficient home.
Well, and a lot of these developers have kind of gotten some feedback over their last few developments, and they've realized that that is something that they value, is an elementary school in the neighborhood. Yeah. So they've already made plans with the school districts. They sell the school district the land, actually, the developers do.
Yeah, and it's a big win-win for the ISD, for the students, for the parents, for the builders, developers. It's been a really good deal for Prosper did a lot of that as well. We're seeing it happen in Celina, and we know that it is well received by buyers and community members.
Number 6, safety and smart infrastructure. This is something that I think a lot of people admire about Celina. We are far enough out that we really don't have a crazy crime rate. It is very, very small. I think the police recently actually released what our crime rate was based on violent crimes and non-violent crimes. There was not a single violent crime on the list from 2025. So that's pretty awesome. And I think it also kind of drives people to move to the area because they feel very comfortable bringing their families here, growing their families here. And they do say that it's so safe you can keep your doors unlocked. I would not do that. Let's not risk it. But I do feel safe enough that would be a possibility if I was open to that.
Yeah, and it's a fast growing community. And guys, these things are going to change by the day. You can have one person make one bad decision and suddenly there's a crime rate that didn't exist yesterday.
Yeah.
But we do feel like we are in a very safe area generally overall. So we're going to leave that right there. Community security, kind of the same thing, right? You feel safe out and about in the community. I'm going to say the biggest thing that we have happen in Celina on a regular basis is running red lights.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. That is a lethal issue.
It's literally our biggest crime in Celina, I feel positive, is running the red lights. And a lot of that is due to growth. We have new red lights that have been installed that didn't exist a week ago. And people, they're not paying attention. We're very easily distracted. We have the radio and the kids and the phones and the things happening in the car. And so we just kind of want to point that out to like maybe anyone who sees this video. Pay attention to the red lights, especially those on Preston.
Pay attention to the big rock haulers and concrete trucks. They're the ones that like to blow the red light the most. So what I have done recently, let me give you a tip here. Whenever the light turns green, I count to 3 because I would like to not be hit at the green light. So just, peace of mind.
Yeah, and it's, as we grow, these rock haulers, we're getting new roads, we're getting new developments, new neighborhoods, new schools. That's a lot of construction traffic in and out of Prosper. We're getting a Walmart and a Costco and all of these things, right? It brings in just a lot of additional big trucks, traffic, all of those things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this is probably my biggest con to Celina. Is the infrastructure. So safety, big pro. Infrastructure, a pretty big con right now because we're in a really big growth phase. And so along with that infrastructure, not only, we have these roads that are being built, we're getting better access from 75 to 35 to, the tollway and all in between. But it's taking us some time.
If you liked this video and found it valuable about the city of Celina, don't worry, we have Frisco, McKinney, and Prosper videos coming out each week on Fridays. So stick around, watch some of our past videos that we put out in the last few weeks, and let us know if you have any suggestions for our next videos.
Yeah, guys, hit those buttons, like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, comment below. And we look forward to chatting with you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.